10 celebrities with shocking scandals you never knew about. Past mistakes. Some fade away. Some are forgiven. And some are too shocking to ever be erased. Hollywood may be built on talent and charm, but behind the red carpets and flashing lights lie dark secrets that many stars would rather keep buried. From scandalous crimes to career-shattering controversies, these celebrities have faced serious backlash, but not always the consequences you'd expect. How did they survive the fallout? And should we still celebrate them today? Jon Hamm. Jon Hamm is widely recognized for his breakout role as Don Draper on Mad Men, a character whose charm and dark past define the show's appeal. However, few people know that Hamm's real life also carries a troubling history, one that could have ended his career before it even started. In 1990, Hamm was a 19-year-old student at the University of Texas at Austin and a member of the Sigma Nu fraternity. That year, he was involved in a brutal hazing incident that resulted in serious criminal charges. The victim, a pledge named Mark Allen Sanders, alleged that he was subjected to violent and degrading treatment at the hands of Hamm and other fraternity members. Court documents from a later lawsuit described disturbing details. Sanders was beaten severely, his pants were set on fire, and he was dragged across the floor by a hammer hooked to his genitals. The assault was so extreme that Sanders suffered injuries requiring medical treatment and was forced to leave school. The incident led to a criminal investigation, and Hamm, along with several fraternity brothers, was charged with hazing. While others faced more serious legal consequences, Hamm pleaded guilty to a lesser charge and received probation. As a result of the scandal, the Sigma Nu chapter at UT Austin was permanently shut down. Unlike many Hollywood figures whose past scandals have been widely discussed, Hamm's hazing case remained relatively obscure for years. The incident resurfaced in 2015 when court records became public, but Hamm, by then an Emmy-winning star, avoided significant backlash. He has rarely commented on the case, stating only that he had made some mistakes in his youth. Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton is often hailed as one of the greatest guitarists of all time, with a career spanning decades and a catalog of legendary hits. However, beneath his musical genius lies a moment that permanently stained his reputation. A shocking racist rant that resurfaced years later and continues to follow him. The incident occurred on August 5, 1976, during a concert in Birmingham, England. Clapton, visibly intoxicated, launched into a tirade in support of far-right British politician Enoch Powell, known for his anti-immigration stance. In his speech, Clapton urged his audience to support Powell, making inflammatory remarks about keeping Britain white and using multiple racial slurs. His words were met with immediate backlash, as fans and critics alike questioned how an artist so deeply influenced by black blues musicians could express such views. Clapton later attempted to explain the incident, blaming alcohol and drugs for his behavior. However, the damage was already done. His comments led to the creation of the Rock Against Racism movement, an organization that sought to combat racism in the music industry. While Clapton eventually distanced himself from Powell's ideology, he has remained inconsistent in addressing the controversy. In later interviews, he has both downplayed the incident and expressed regret, but critics argue that his apologies lack sincerity. Despite the scandal, Clapton's career remained largely intact. He continued to release music, win Grammy Awards, and cement his place in rock history. However, for many, his racist outburst remains an indelible stain on his legacy. Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe was one of Hollywood's brightest rising stars in the 1980s, a teen heartthrob known for his roles in The Outsiders, 1983, and St. Elmo's Fire, 1985. However, his career took a sudden and dramatic hit in 1988, when he became embroiled in one of the first high-profile celebrity sex tape scandals, one that involved a serious legal and moral issue. The tape, filmed during the 1988 Democratic National Convention in Atlanta, showed Lowe engaging in sexual acts with two women. The real shock, however, came when it was discovered that one of the women was only 16 years old. While the age of consent in Georgia was 16, Lowe was 24 at the time, making the encounter legal but highly controversial. The fallout was immediate. His clean-cut image was shattered, and he faced public outrage. In addition to the underage girl, another segment of the tape surfaced, showing Lowe engaging in sex with a friend and a model in Paris. The scandal led to a civil lawsuit, though no criminal charges were filed. The damage to his reputation, however, was severe. Lowe withdrew from the public eye for several years, entering rehab for alcohol addiction and attempting to rebuild his personal and professional life. Surprisingly, Lowe managed to stage a comeback in the 1990s. His role in Wayne's World, 1992, reintroduced him to audiences, and by the 2000s, he had reinvented himself through hit television shows like The West Wing and Parks and Recreation. Unlike many stars whose careers never recover from such scandals, Lowe embraced his past mistakes, often joking about them in interviews. His ability to rebound remains one of Hollywood's most remarkable comeback stories. Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre is one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, a producer and rapper who revolutionized the genre with NWA, The Chronic, and his work with artists like Eminem and 50 Cent. But despite his musical genius, Dre's legacy is marred by violent incidents, particularly a brutal assault on journalist Dee Barnes in 1991. At the time, Barnes was a rising TV host covering the rap scene for Pump It Up. Her show aired a segment featuring Ice Cube criticizing NWA after his departure from the group, which reportedly enraged Dre. On January 27, 1991, at a nightclub in Los Angeles, Dre confronted Barnes and physically assaulted her. Witnesses reported that Dre slammed her head against a wall multiple times, attempted to throw her down a staircase, and continued to attack her while she tried to escape. Barnes later filed a $22.7 million lawsuit, and Dre ultimately settled out of court. In a 1991 interview with Rolling Stone, Dre dismissed the incident, saying, "It ain't no big thing. I just threw her through a door." His response only fueled criticism, as it reflected a troubling attitude toward violence against women. The assault didn't immediately derail his career. Dre went on to release The Chronic in 1992, founding Death Row Records, and becoming one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop. However, his history of violence resurfaced in the 2015 Straight Outta Compton biopic, which conveniently omitted the Barnes incident. Under pressure, Dre finally issued a public apology, admitting to making horrible mistakes in his past. Pete Townsend. Pete Townsend, the legendary guitarist and songwriter for The Who, built his career on electrifying performances in anthems like Baba O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again. But in the early 2000s, he found himself at the center of a disturbing police investigation that threatened to destroy his reputation. In 2003, Townsend was among hundreds of individuals investigated during a UK-wide crackdown on illegal online content. His credit card had been used to access a website linked to child exploitation material, triggering a police inquiry. When authorities raided his home, they seized computers and other devices for further examination. The musician was never charged with possession of illegal content, but he was officially issued a police caution, which meant admitting to some degree of wrongdoing. Townsend's defense was that he had accessed the website for research purposes. He claimed he was investigating the connection between online abuse and financial institutions, arguing that banks were complicit in enabling such crimes. He also insisted he was working on an autobiography that would discuss his own experiences with childhood trauma. However, many remained skeptical of his explanation, and the scandal cast a long shadow over his legacy. Despite the controversy, Townsend continued his career without significant professional setbacks. The Who carried on performing, and he remained an influential figure in rock music. Over time, the incident faded from public discussion, though it remains a dark mark on his otherwise celebrated life. Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender rose to fame in the late 2000s, delivering intense performances in Inglourious Bastard, 2009, X-Men, First Class, 2011, and 12 Years a Slave, 2013. Charismatic and widely respected for his craft, he seemed poised for an enduring career as a Hollywood leading man. However, beneath his polished image lies a troubling controversy. disturbing allegations of domestic abuse that have never been fully addressed. In 2010, Fassbender's ex-girlfriend, Sunawin Andrews, filed a restraining order against him in Los Angeles, alleging that he physically assaulted her on multiple occasions. In the court filing, Andrews detailed two separate incidents. In one, she claimed Fassbender dragged her alongside a car after an argument, leading to a twisted ankle, burst ovarian cyst, and a blown-out kneecap. In another incident, she alleged that he flipped over a table while she was lying down, injuring her nose. The restraining order was granted, but no criminal charges were filed, and Andrews later withdrew the request without explanation. Fassbender has never publicly commented on the allegations, and the controversy has rarely been brought up in media interviews. Unlike many other celebrities facing similar accusations, he never faced significant professional repercussions. His career flourished in the 2010s, but he mysteriously took a 4-year acting hiatus after 2019. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was more than just a basketball legend. He was an 18-time NBA All-Star, a 5-time champion, and an athlete revered for his relentless work ethic. But alongside his accomplishments, his legacy is also linked to a highly controversial 2003 sexual assault case that resurfaced in discussions after his tragic death in 2020. The incident took place in Eagle, Colorado, where Bryant, then 24, was staying at a hotel before undergoing knee surgery. A 19-year-old hotel employee later accused him of sexual assault, leading to his arrest. The case quickly gained national attention, as Bryant initially denied any encounter before later admitting to a sexual encounter, but insisted it was consensual. The case took a dramatic turn when Bryant's defense team aggressively challenged the accuser's credibility, publicly revealing details about her past and medical history. Amid mounting pressure, the woman ultimately chose not to testify, leading to the criminal charges being dropped. However, Bryant later issued a public statement acknowledging that while he believed the encounter was consensual, he understood that she did not see it the same way. He later settled a civil lawsuit with his accuser for an undisclosed amount. While the case did damage his reputation at the time, leading to lost endorsements and media scrutiny, Bryant gradually rebuilt his image. He spent the rest of his career focusing on basketball, philanthropy, and family life, earning praise for his mentorship of young athletes and women's sports advocacy. His 2018 Academy Award win for the animated short Dear Basketball further cemented his post-scandal redemption. After Bryant's untimely death in a helicopter crash in 2020, tributes flooded in, but the 2003 case was also revisited, sparking debates on how legacies should be remembered. Rick James. Rick James was a musical powerhouse, known for his high-energy funk hits like Super Freak and Give It To Me Baby. However, his larger-than-life persona wasn't just about flashy performances and wild parties. It was also marked by a deeply troubling history of drug abuse, crime, and violence. Among his many scandals, one stands out as the most disturbing: the 1991 kidnapping and assault case that led to his imprisonment. By the late 1980s, James had become heavily addicted to cocaine, reportedly spending up to $77,000 per week on drugs. His addiction fueled erratic behavior, and in August 1991, he and his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi were arrested for the brutal kidnapping and torture of a 24-year-old woman, Frances Alley. According to court records, James and Hijazi held Alley captive in their Hollywood Hills home for 6 days, repeatedly assaulting and burning her with a hot crack pipe. The attack only ended when she managed to escape. While awaiting trial, James was arrested again for a separate attack on another woman. These back-to-back incidents solidified his downfall. In 1993, he was convicted of assault, false imprisonment, and making criminal threats, leading to a prison sentence of more than 2 years. After his release, James attempted a comeback, appearing in interviews and referencing his past with humor, most famously in Dave Chappelle's Show skit where he jokingly said, "Cocaine is a hell of a drug." However, his body had suffered from years of substance abuse, and in 2004, he died at age 56 from cardiac and pulmonary failure, with multiple drugs found in his system. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is now known as a Hollywood A-lister, a businessman, and a family-friendly figure starring in blockbuster films. But before he was a movie star, Wahlberg had a violent and troubling past, one that included racially motivated attacks in his teenage years. Despite his efforts to move beyond these incidents, they continue to be a major point of controversy and discussions about his legacy. In 1986, when Wahlberg was 15 years old, he and a group of friends were involved in an incident where they chased and harassed black schoolchildren in Boston, pelting them with rocks and yelling racial slurs. A civil lawsuit was filed against him for the attack, though it did not lead to criminal charges. 2 years later, in 1988, Wahlberg, then 16, was arrested for a brutal assault on two Vietnamese American men, Tom Lam and Hoa Trinh. Wahlberg attacked Lam with a wooden stick, knocking him unconscious while shouting racial slurs. Later that same night, he punched Trinh in the face. Wahlberg was charged with attempted murder, but ultimately pleaded guilty to felony assault. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, but served only 45 days. Despite his past, Wahlberg managed to rebrand himself, first as the rapper Marky Mark, and later as a respected actor. However, his criminal history resurfaced in 2014, when he filed a petition seeking a pardon for his crimes. His request sparked backlash, as many believed he had not fully taken responsibility for his actions or done enough to make amends to his victims. Facing criticism, Wahlberg later withdrew the pardon request. Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick is best known for his iconic role as the carefree and charming Ferris Bueller in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 1986. However, just a year after the film's release, he was involved in a tragic accident that resulted in the deaths of two innocent people, an event that remains a dark and largely overlooked chapter in his life. On August 5, 1987, Broderick was vacationing in Northern Ireland with his then-girlfriend, actress Jennifer Grey, just weeks before the release of her breakout film, Dirty Dancing. While driving a rented BMW on a rural road near Enniskillen, Broderick veered into the wrong lane and collided head-on with another vehicle. The crash instantly killed the two occupants of the other car, 28-year-old Anna Gallagher and her mother, 63-year-old Margaret Doherty. Broderick suffered multiple injuries, including a fractured leg, broken ribs, and a concussion, while Gray sustained only minor injuries. In the aftermath, Broderick claimed to have no memory of the crash, or what led him to swerve into the wrong lane. Initially, he was charged with causing death by dangerous driving, which carried a potential 5-year prison sentence. However, the charges were later reduced to careless driving, a minor offense that resulted in a fine of just £100, $175 at the time, a decision that outraged the victim's family. In later interviews, the victim's brother expressed disappointment over the lenient punishment, but stated that Broderick never directly reached out to the family to apologize. Despite the gravity of the incident, Broderick's Hollywood career remained unaffected. He continued to star in major films, including The Lion King, 1994, and The Producers, 2005. Over time, the crash faded from public discussion, largely overshadowed by his enduring status as a beloved actor. Scandals have a way of reshaping a celebrity's legacy, whether through controversy, redemption, or public forgetting. From shocking crimes to career-threatening mistakes, these stories remind us that fame doesn't always come with accountability. Some stars have managed to move past their scandals, while others continue to be haunted by their past. But what do you think? Should these celebrities be forgiven for their actions, or should their past mistakes always be part of their legacy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it interesting, and help us grow by hitting that subscribe button. Your support keeps All About Hollywood, bringing you the most fascinating and untold stories from the world of fame and fortune. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.